Well, hey there, everybody. It is Friday, and we're going to be opening up the contest again soon for Realistic Acrylic Portrait School's Header Image Contest. And I just want to do a shout out to all the people that won in the previous contest, and then go through some of the images and just discuss what I like about those images, why I chose them to be winners in the last contest, and then maybe some tips for improvement. Because we all can improve in our work, and that's what we're here for as students and lifelong artists. So let me switch over to the other screen here, and we'll go through all the images. All right, so first of all, I want to give a huge congratulations to Jasmine Juma for her portrait of Michael, a 5x7, and she also received a 30-day free membership to Realistic Acrylic Portrait School, to the all-access membership that allows her to go through all the courses and learn further and perfect her skills even more. So congratulations again to Jasmine. And then we have second place, Emily Lewis. I want to congratulate her on her portrait of Bo, 5x7. Third place to Kim Hinkle. Congratulations on that. And then we have honorable mentions, Paul. And then we have Pamela and Carmen and Monique. So just want to, again, congratulate all the winners. And it's always great to see your work here. A couple new people in the group. And then a couple people that have been here for a while. Appreciate the new people, and always as well the contributions of those who have been with us for a while. And so anyway, yeah, I really appreciate everybody that's here in the group. Love seeing your work every week. Now let's go through the images, and we'll just talk about what I like about these paintings. We have Jasmine Juma's painting here, the one that won first place. And I really like this, you know, for a small portrait of 5x7, it's very well done. There's some excellent shading here. And I really like the, just the overall composition. I like the shading. It's very smooth. You know, you have really interesting gradations here. You know, in his nose, that's usually a tricky area to do. And then also shading as well on the side of the face. It's very gradual, very smooth. And, you know, the skin tones are well done. And you have the nice pinkish areas right by the nose and on the lips. So overall, I think it's well done. The texture is nice too on the background. I like that. The values and the contrast are in the right place. So overall, it makes for a very good portrait. And the only thing maybe to improve on it, and this is just a personal thing, is having a little more contrast between the background, you know, and the foreground. Maybe his shirt, you know, is too much of the same tone as the background. So if it could pop out a little bit more in contrast, I think that might help to give the painting a little more impact. But very, very well done. All right, let's skip ahead to the next one here. And we have Emily Lewis's painting here of Bo, the dog. And I really like this. I like the contrast she achieved here with the values. It's one of the things I really look for. What really creates good realism is not just details and shading, but it's having the values in the right place. And you know, she has that. She's got dark shadows here under the dog's face, and then she's got some good shadows here by the body part, and so a lot of good things going on in this portrait. So it's just fantastic. Even the shadow underneath by the dog here is well done. Excellent painting. Yeah, so anyway, very well done, Emily. As far as improving the portrait, maybe just a little more detail in certain areas, a little smoother texture. But, you know, I think you've really done a good job. I do like the interesting colors you have in the face. I see some yellows and browns in there. So again, really, really like the portrait. Well done. Okay, I'm going to skip along to the next one. We have Kim Hinkle's portrait here. And I really like the luminosity and the warmth of this painting. I like the smile on this woman's face. She looks very friendly, very pleasant smile. She looks happy. The values are good. There's a good value key within the painting. I mean, there's all the dark areas are developed very well, and they're very constant throughout. I mean, we have, you can see it better with different color here, but we have these kind of colors working here, or the values rather, are all very constant. You know, you have a dark value here in the neck, and you have a dark value over here by the dog. This dark value, the values under the shadows by her hair, even within the eyes, they're all about at the same level of darkness. And that really works within the painting. Some paintings I see, you know, you have values that are dark in certain spots, but then the other areas that ought to be dark aren't dark enough. But she really did a good job here getting that overall level of value consistent throughout the painting. And the composition is nice. She's got a good amount of space here between, you know, the head and the top of the picture, and then the bottom portion. That's very well done. I like the lighting, you know, this light on the top of the head. The skin tones are very smooth, and that's well done. You know, I guess the only thing I would suggest for improvement is maybe just a little less red in the face, but that might be how the picture looked. Sometimes pictures, though, do distort the colors a little bit. It looks like possibly the face is a little too pink. And then maybe this eye might be just a little bit too small, the eyeball, a little too small. Or possibly the white of the eye needs to be enlarged just a bit. It's the only thing I can see, but it's very faint. And that would be basically about all I could recommend for that. I do like the style. The brushwork is very nice. And it's not overly detailed. And it kind of has an almost painterly approach to it, but it really suggests everything very well. So that's why I like this picture. All right, I'm going to move along to the next one. And we've got Paul Joseph's painting here of a dog, you know, I think a bulldog, a pit bull. I'm not too good with my dog breeds. You have to excuse me for that. But this is really well done, though. I like the painting, and you know, he always does such a great job on shading and detail. You know, he's got plenty of texture in the fur, and then you can really see all the details, all the different patterns within the fur, and he blurs it out really nice at the end, and I like that effect. Kind of gives a sense of depth by having a lot of detail in the front and then blurring out these areas in the back. And I think he does that very well in all of his portraits. The dark background really sets it off, gives it a good contrast. So I do like that very well. You know, to improve it, I mean, I can't say much about Paul's portraits. You know, his pet portraits are really, really well done. I don't know, I guess as a personal suggestion, maybe not sure about this kind of faded effect on this side. You know, because I don't think the dog's body would go any further that way. So maybe to not have that gray coming out, but that's just a personal thing. You know, other people could say that it, you know, extends the composition out a little bit to the left and balances things out. Anyway, very well done. Paul's work is excellent. I guess one other thing I'm wondering about his paintings are, they do seem a little dark, as if like the lightest values seem as if they should be a little brighter. You know, this being kind of a white area on the dog, white fur, you know, compared to like the white we see here on the Facebook page. You know, this is a way darker value in comparison. So I just kind of wonder if maybe the photos are underexposed, or if they're just a little darker based on how he paints. Personally, I'd like to see the contrast a little bit higher in the paintings, a little brighter. But that would be my only suggestion. Other than that, I mean, it's just fantastic work. He always does great work every week. All right, so I'm going to skip ahead to the next picture. Now we have Pamela's portrait here, and I just really love the smoothness of the skin tones, the smoothness of the gradations within the face. It's just very hard to achieve with acrylics. She's done a great job. I like the way the eyes look. You know, the reflection she achieved in the eyes on the top, and then the coloring. You know, it's really draws your attention to those eyes, and I like that. The texture in the hair is very nice, and you know, she gets a good feel of the zipper with the way she painted that without a lot of fuss. You know, I can almost feel the edges of the zipper, and you know, I have young kids, and still helping one of them anyway zip up her coat. You know, she's still pretty young, so I know what those teeth feel like, and I can almost reach out and grab those teeth on the zipper. I mean, that's a really good job how she did that. So I guess for improvement, I would suggest maybe to make the eyes not quite as white in certain areas. I think it's maybe a little too white. It might be a little less white on that side. As you get closer to the tear duct, there's usually more blood vessels, and so I would recommend maybe darkening that a bit, and then also darkening the edges here too with the teeth. I think they might be a little too bright. Usually as you get towards the edge, there's less light shining on them, and so they would get a little bit darker. And then also, I'm not sure if perhaps this neck area is a little too dark, that maybe there should get a little bit of a lighter flesh tone mixed in there. The coloring is just a little too grayish, but it's hard for me to say without seeing the reference photo. And then the last thing would be the texture on the outside part of the coat. Again, without seeing the reference photo, it's hard to say, and I think the Painterly approach did a good job of suggesting what it was, but I'd like to see this to be a little more developed. And so that would be the only thing I could say as far as improvement on this, but very, very good job, Pamela. Always good to see your work here. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead to the next one. We have Carmen Lopez's painting. I like this. I chose this primarily because it's an interesting subject matter. You know, you don't see a woman holding a fan every day, and I can really get a sense of that with the way the hand is composed, and the fan is up to her face, and the fact that she's looking off to the right. It's just very interesting. And so, you know, I was intrigued by that, and I like the lighting she's achieved, you know, on this side and on the hair. That's well done. So overall, I think it's a very nice portrait. I guess for improvement, I would suggest maybe a little more work on the eyes. I do like the fact that the eyes aren't white like they usually are for a lot of paintings I see. They're often too white. But here the eyes are a little, I'd say almost too dark. I want to see just a hint of white there on that side, maybe a little more differentiation, darkness on the pupil or something. The eye just looks a little bit underdeveloped. And then maybe a little smoother blending in certain areas. Also, I'm not quite sure about this arm. It looks like possibly it's sticking out a little too much based on the anatomy of her her other arm, that if this one is drawn in this much towards her head, that it appears that the shoulder behind might be sticking out a little too much. I'd like to see that arm cut in a little bit more just to portray a correct anatomy. So I think that would be my main recommendations for this, but very, very well done. So just want to congratulate Carmen, and thank you so much for entering this into the contest. You know, I think this is the first time I've seen your work here, so excellent. Excuse me. And then lastly, we have Monique's portrait here, family portrait. I chose this just mostly because it really captured the moment so well of this woman reading a story. I don't know if it's a devotional or a story, but reading this to her children as they're opening up presents. Kind of reminds me of my family. We have some devotionals we do before Christmas for the kids tearing at all the presents. We, spend some time giving thanks to the Lord and just reflecting on the good things he's done for us. But I like this moment she's captured. I can see the smile in her face, the way that, the way the children are looking at the book intently. His face here, it's kind of cocked to one side a little bit, and that's just perfect. This boy here has such a nice little smile on his face, and she has a nice smile on her face. So there's really some great joy being captured here. The necklace, I just had to mention that, the light shining on that's very, very well done. The light shining on their hair is very well done. That's what creates realism, is getting those values in the right places, in the right shape, and she's got it going here in this painting. Getting these darker areas within the hair, and then these highlights in just the right spots. Really, really conveys the lighting excellently. The detail on the tree is nice, and I think behind it there's some curtains. We can get a sense for there being a large window behind here. But yeah, very, very well done. I guess for improvement, I would just recommend getting a little more contrast, but I don't know if maybe it's the photograph, if it looks almost like there's some glare in this area. So it might not be representing the painting quite as well as it could, but a little more contrast on the tree and darker values. I think that would help. And maybe just maybe a little work on the edges. I think some of the edges are a little too bright. There could be a few darker values on the sides of a few areas here of the figures. But very, very well done, Monique. Again, glad to have you in the group, and please keep on entering your work. Love to see it here more in the group. So anyway, that would be, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the last one, but I did have room for more entries. This one here is the People's Choice Award. And so this is by Manny Gatewood, and this is the one that received the most votes. This one received the most votes from everyone in the group that didn't already receive an award. And so this is by popular choice of everyone in the group. Manny won that prize, and she also got access to my courses at realisticacrylic.com. But yeah, this is a great portrait. The pose is nice. Let's pull up my annotation tool here. There we go. I like the water behind and the angle, draws your eye into the composition. Your eyes kind of drawn back through her collarbone and then up, into the neck and then back here through the eyes. So it keeps your interest engaged. Of course, the woman is very beautiful. That helps to keep, the viewer engaged. I like the attention to detail within her eyes. The shading on the lips and the shading on the forehead. It's very, very good gradation, and that's difficult to achieve with acrylics. I like the shading very, very smooth, and that's well done. So I guess as far as improvement, some of the values I think need a little work. You know, like I just think that some of the values are over accentuated. Like right here, this should not be as light as it is. This area also, that could be that light because there's light shining from this side, but the light that's shining from this side wouldn't illuminate this part of her area under the eyebrow as much as it is. That area, because it's going to be turned back towards the skull more, just can't receive the light to that degree and be that bright. And so it kind of throws off a little bit of the realism. Like against the lips here, this also is too bright. And this area here is probably too bright because it's not going to be catching light on all these different surfaces. The light is going to be coming more from one direction. It probably is catching some light. It's just not going to be all the same value. And then also the eyes, I think, should be a little darker because the eyelashes and eyelids do cast some shadows over the white of the eyes. And so, you know, I'd like to see a little more of that depth created by darkening some of the white of the eyes. And the eyebrows could be, you know, spread out a little bit more. You want to have some values separating the edges of the eyebrows with the skin to give it some depth. But very well done. Just a little work on the values I think would help. But I think the best thing this has going for it is the composition and the really, really nice shading. So that aspect, you know, Manny, you've got it dialed in. Just some work on the values, and I think you'll really do some fantastic portraits in the future. So those are our winners for the week. Congratulations again. And lastly, just want to mention we will have the contest opened up again later today. It's Friday as I record. I'm going to open it up later here for Friday. So you have the rest of today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to submit your entries. And then Tuesday, you know, I'll go out and I'll announce the winners instead of Monday, just changing it up a little bit based on my schedule. And everything else will be the same though. You'll have the first place winning a free whole month of access to my courses at realisticacrylic.com. People's Choice Award also will receive that 1 month of free courses. But if you aren't in the Facebook group, Realistic Acrylic Portrait School, it's a free group, free to join. So I'd encourage you, if you're watching this on YouTube, to put in a request to join the group. It's really easy. Just have to answer a couple of questions, you know, that you're doing acrylic portraits or you intend on doing acrylic portraits in the future. And we'll go ahead and get you in the group there. And you can start posting your portraits. You know, if you need help painting portraits, you have questions on how to do it, or need a critique on your work, whatever the case might be, go ahead and post your work there or your questions. Leave comments for other people. We'd love to have you in the group. And lastly, if you like this video, you found it helpful or interesting, give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to this channel for more tutorials like this, where I break down portraits and critique them, and also, of course, show you things I'm working on in the studio and tips to help you become a better portrait artist in acrylic. So anyway, God bless you. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.